I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of this newsletter is going to be, don't waste your time. Well, I've got two emails that I'm going to go through here today. And one of the reasons that I picked these emails is because I'm getting a lot of emails from guys that are doing this. And it seems like lately I've been doing a lot of phone sessions with guys that are involved with women that are unavailable. Maybe they live across the country or they live physically in another country. And they spend months and even years talking to these women, but they never get together in person because the woman's always got an excuse why she can't get together. And what's going on is these guys are taking themselves out of the game and they're missing out on life because they've got this fantasy of something that may or may not happen in the future. So these guys bring up definitely some good facepalm type material where you're going to be, oh, come on, man. So before we get into it, I've got a quote that I'd like to share with you. Life is short. It's a gift with an expiration date. Life is meant to be lived and enjoyed through physical experiences by deciding what you want and then relentlessly taking action to make it happen. Make sure you are actually living your life and enjoying it by taking action instead of living in your head and creating unrealized fantasies of what could be, but never taking any action to make it happen. Having faith that things will work out, but not taking any action to make it happen is meaningless. I mean, it's easy enough for these things to happen. I mean, this is kind of how my early 20s went. I'd get to know girls, I'd be friends with them. I'd spend all this time talking on the phone, build a friendship over the phone, and then I'd spring my feelings on them, and obviously the friendship would dissolve after that. And I wasted years and months of my life being hung up on girls that either had no interest or they had boyfriends. Like I was just waiting for things to change. And it's tough when you meet a really great girl because it's easy to meet beautiful women. But to meet a beautiful woman who not only physically is what you want, but there's chemistry between the two of you. You have similar goals, similar values, similar interests. It's just easy to be with them. They're easy to talk to. They're enthusiastic to talk to you, to get to know you. Those are special and those are rare. And until you meet someone like that, it's like every woman that you interact with, that you try to take out on a date, you try to get her phone number, or that you hook up with, you got to look at that as just an opportunity to help you grow into the man that you need to be, or if you're a woman, obviously watch this, to grow into the woman that you need to be in order to attract the person that's exactly right for you. Because if you just wait around like these guys tend to be doing, hoping things are going to change, or waiting to ask a girl only when you really feel that deep connection and that strong desire within you, what happens is you meet a girl and you freeze up because you haven't practiced. The idea is repetition is the mother of skill. Excellence is not a singular act. It is a habit. You are what you do repeatedly. The key is to interact with all people and women and be the same guy 24/7, not only with certain women, but all women. Even if they're not really that attractive, you can enjoy having a great conversation with a stranger in an elevator for 30 seconds or a minute or two until you get to your floor, because you never know when you're going to turn around and that lightning is going to strike. And it's all about becoming prepared for it. And at the end of the day, the right person, it's simply a numbers game. Because obviously not every woman that it's like if you wanted to sleep with all the women that you meet that are beautiful, I mean, the odds are is maybe only 2 to 3% of the, if you go up to like 100 girls and ask 100 women out, you're only going to sleep with a small percentage of those. And those are just the numbers. It's just the way it is. And so you got to get through the no's in order to get to the yeses. But the idea is that the more you become intuitive, the more you start to recognize signs of when a woman is mutually attracted to you, your numbers actually get better. Because when she feels a strong attraction and desire for you, she's open to it, she's single, she's going to look you right in the eye and she's going to smile and she's going to make it easy for you to talk to her and interact with her, and you start to strike up a conversation, she's going to work to carry the conversation as well. But along the way, you're going to meet women you're going to have this awesome chemistry with, and then you ask them out and you're like, oh, I have a boyfriend. It's like in the past few months, I've met 2 women that are just like exactly what I'm looking for. And they both have boyfriends. And the thing that about both these situations is I see them all the time, a couple times a week. And because of the places I go where I know them, I frequent, it's like I'm going to see them and there's nothing that I can do about it. And so I can enjoy, I mean, if I was to look at, say, over the next 12 months or the next 2 years, whatever it happens to be, there's a pretty good chance that one or maybe even both of them end up not being single or end up breaking up with their boyfriends, I should say, and they become single again. But it's because they're so attractive and they're so much more... It's like my feelings of attraction for them are so much stronger than the average pretty girl that I meet. It's hard not to get caught up in when you're sitting there and you're talking to them, because obviously both of them know that I'm interested because I asked them both out, and that's how I found out that they had boyfriends. And so we always have fun, and because I really like both these girls, it's easy to talk to them. And obviously they find it easy to talk to me because obviously they appreciate the attention that they're getting from me. But it's like you never know, something may change, and that's why it's always important that when you encounter those situations, you always say, hey, well, if it doesn't work out, let me know. And if you see them on a regular basis and you frequently go into the same kinds of places and you're friendly with women in those kinds of situations, and because one of the things I always tend to say a lot to a lot of people is when I see them or I go places and I see people that I know, it's like, hey, what's new and exciting? Oh, I'm single again. Or, oh, I broke up with my boyfriend. Like, how convenient. Well, let's get together and meet up for a drink. Or, hey, we should have dinner. When are you free to get together? Just like that. Use those exact words. Those words communicate confidence. But, I mean, in the meantime, when you're going about your daily life, you got to keep searching. You got to keep looking, because you might find somebody that you like just as much as those girls that you really like, and that one turns out to be single. And boom, you have a winner. But it's like, if you stop and you get hung up on a really great woman, I know it's fucking hard. I deal with the same fucking things. But the idea is you got to remember what it is that you want. All you need is one great girl. But if you take yourself out of the game by getting hung up on somebody that's just simply not available or not single, or they're long distance or in another country and you maybe never even met them physically, you're absolutely wasting your life. It's like guys that are single, and girls for that matter, they want the search to be over. They want to find that one perfect person. But it's like if you take yourself out of the game on a fantasy, you're just wasting your life. And at the end of the day, the amount of days that you have left in this planet is getting shorter. The amount of days you've been on this planet is getting longer. And that's definitely something to think about. Be grateful that you have an attraction and chemistry with someone, but if they're unavailable, they're unavailable. There's nothing you can do about it. That may change in the future, but you got to proceed and act as if they're never going to become single again. Unless, obviously, you hear otherwise from them. So let's get in the first guy's email. He says, Dear Coach, I'm in an online relationship since 6 months, but I don't see any progress. I met my girlfriend on one of the dating sites, and I'm living in Dubai, and she's living in Canada. I started to talk to her. In the beginning, I found out that she likes me, but later she used to ignore my messages for 1 week at a time. Then she told me we shouldn't talk to each other every day and said we got to talk on the weekends because you should be one of these husband or fiance or lover. She started going by one of them, and then I told her, yes, I'm not your husband and neither fiance, but when it comes to lover, she put up and said, just once you come to Canada, we'll see. Remember, I've talked about this a lot. It's like women have the attitude of, is this guy a good match for me? Is he good for me? And in this particular case, this dude hasn't even met this girl yet. And he's thinking relationship. It's like, it's why she's saying, she's like, just come to Canada and we'll see. I talked to a guy the other day. It's like, this was going on for like a year. Every time he tried to get the girl to come visit him or tried to go visit her, she always had something that was, oh, I can't, I was busy, I got this, I got friends in town. It's always some bullshit excuse. But she enjoyed the attention from him, the fact that he kept calling and pursuing her, and it's obviously very frustrating to him because he's totally consumed with a fantasy and not doing anything with the women that he is actually encountering that live in the city where he's at. I mean, he's completely taken himself, he's not even on the playing field. He says, I started to talk to her and her mother on WhatsApp and Skype, and her mother was dragging me to get engaged with her daughter. Then later, after a couple of months, I saw her. She ignored me for 14 days, and she said I was busy and blah, blah, blah. Well, that tells me this dude's like doing all the pursuing. He's like got this fantasy. And this guy's obviously from the Middle East. And I see that a lot because I do a lot of phone sessions with guys in Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and like these societies are very paternal type societies, and they're just now starting to get into where instead of the relationship being arranged by the family through arranged type marriages, where they're actually dating and getting into the dating world. And so their mindset, everything is all about seeking a wife, getting a wife, locking her down to a commitment. And they don't understand how the courtship process works because they've never really had to go through it. He says, then I sent her a Facebook message on Friday that somebody's going to knock on your door, and actually she didn't answer me back. I sent her on that day a Samsung S4 as a gift, a bribe for a bride. It's like you haven't even met this girl, now you're sending her gifts. It's like, because deep down inside you're trying to make up for what you feel you lack internally. So let me buy her something. Maybe she'll like me if I buy her a Samsung S4. And on the same day, when the DHL guy knocked on the door and gave her the box, she contacted me directly and said, I was not expecting that from you. And I told myself, what is he going to do? Is he coming to me? That's impossible within 5 days. So I was shocked. Then after that, I started to talk to her more and more. Then after a month, I put some comments on one of the ladies' pictures on Facebook. I said, all of the ladies in the pictures are beautiful. Then she texted me back on WhatsApp and she told me all of them are beautiful. Then I started telling her that they are nothing like you and you're the only beautiful girl ever. So now you're changing your opinion to match hers. The proper answer would have been, of course they're beautiful, but you know what? You're definitely the hottest one of the whole group, baby. That's the kind of thing you respond. But I mean, at the end of the day, you already met this girl and you're sending her gifts and you're spending, I don't know how much a Samsung S4 costs. I assume it's a couple $100, but it's like, come on, man. All you're going to do is empty your bank account and get nowhere. And I started sending her morning great pictures every day, but there's no answer. Then I called her on her mobile phone and she answered me and said hello. Then once I started talking to her, she didn't answer me. I texted her back, why didn't you answer me? And I sent an angry face, but there's not an answer since 5 days, and I haven't contacted her back for days now. And she's not even getting back to me. Please tell me what to do. What you should do, dude, is find a woman that lives near you in your own country, because all this chick is doing is enjoying the attention and obviously the nice electronic gifts that she's getting from you. But it's like, you got to cut this shit out. You got to read my book. I mean, you're never going to get anywhere with this other than just emptying your wallet. And by the way, I'll send you my address and you can start buying me expensive electronic gifts. It's like, come on, man. So let's get into the next guy's email. He says, hey, coach, I'll try to make this as short as possible. I met a young woman in her teens and I was in my 20s. We connected, but strictly as friends, although she pursued me heavily. I was a retail manager at the time and told her I would give her a job when she was of age. And I did. We held on to a friendship for many years, and throughout, she was always searching for me and expressed her love for me and always said how she believed we were soulmates. When she was in college, I started to think about giving it a shot. She was no longer underage, and I felt that it was a good chance for us to see if this could work out. Long story short, we always ran into bad timing. I was single, she was taken. She was single, I was taken. Years later, she had been in a very long-term committed relationship, still seeking me out to be with her, and I would always tell her if she didn't want to be with that guy, then she needed to end it with him. Not because I was there, but because it wasn't right. She wound up getting engaged and married, and I lost all hope, and then I damned myself for not just sweeping her off her feet and telling her not to be with that guy and to just be with me. It wouldn't matter, dude. You got to let a woman make her own choices, and because it's got to be her idea. You can't talk her out of the dude that she's with in order to be with you. If she really felt like you guys were soulmates, it would have happened. And it's like, this has gone on for years. It's like, shit, man. A few months into her marriage, she came back yet again saying it should have been us, and she truly loved me and doesn't see how our marriage will work. Months later, she called saying it was over and she was getting a divorce. She asked me to give her time to manage this alone and that she will come back when it's all done and we can finally have our time together. Fast forward 8 months later, 8 fucking months of your life on hold for a maybe or a possibility. That's like meeting a pretty girl and her saying, give me a call in about a year and maybe I'll go out with you. Fuck that noise. She came back and told me she was ready and wanted to take things slow, and I told her I was game, and we started dating. Shortly into us, I find out that she has some psycho stalker. When I questioned her about it, she said she had dated him during her divorce, and when she tried to break it off with him, he became very overpowering and threatening to her. If she doesn't stay with him, he would kill people she would be with and even harm her family. Nice. That's just great. Yeah, this is like a fucking barrel of laughs here. It got to the point where he would come to her home late at night, key her car, and break parts off. Anyway, long story short, I believe she was genuinely scared of this guy and there was no more feelings. Remember, she's saying that she's going to get a divorce and after divorce we can be together, but in that time frame, she's dating and hooking up with some other dude. That should tell you something. Weeks went by and all was well, but she started finding the littlest things to fight about. Probably because women get bitchy and they pick fights and arguments when you're acting weak. That's just a fact of life. Now, some women are wacko, but in this particular case, I can tell by the tone of this guy's email, the fact that he's been carrying this crush around for a decade or however long it's been. And obviously, they haven't ended up together up and even till this point. She was dating another dude when she supposedly was like, oh, let me get my divorce finalized and then we can be together. I questioned if that guy was still in the picture and she denied it, but I found some emails from him to her. Oh, so she's a liar too. Great. I didn't find any responses from her to him, but the emails were love songs and notes and such. When I confronted her on this situation, she told me that she needed space to figure out her life. What is that, another fucking decade maybe? It's like, come on. She felt that we rushed into things too quick. Yeah. And now she's unsure what she wants. That's what happens when you act weak. Women become unsure of the relationship because you're acting indecisive, you're not clear in your intent, and you're probably changing your opinion to match hers, and you're sitting around waiting on her hand and foot instead of acting like James Bond saying, hey, I'm a fucking catch. Let's hang out. Oh, you're not available? Great. Give me a call when that divorce is finalized because I'd love to see you. And that's it. You walk and you never look back. But you probably thought, oh, hey, I got a chance, so let me start chasing her and calling her and blowing up her phone because then I'll really get a shot at this. He says, I sent her one text message about 3 weeks ago saying that I was thinking about her. She responded the next day that she was doing the same, but that she was really concentrating on herself right now and that she needs to work on her and learning to build herself up and to make sure she knows what she wants in her life and to have a better future for her, blah, blah. It's like, you know, there's got to be a book out there that all women read that have the same fucking excuses. It's just hilarious. Because, like, it doesn't matter what continent they're from, they all say the same things. Oh, I got to get my life together. I'm not sure where my head's at right now. I didn't respond, and I haven't since. We had a trip booked next week, and it's hard not thinking about going, but that's where we are at the moment. She has since deleted all our photos together from Facebook, and it just leaves me beyond confused. Well, it's obvious she ain't interested, because if she really cared about you and was proud of the fact that you were together, she'd love to have those photos up there. And that's what's neat about social networks is you can really tell what's going on with people's relationship because they get together in the beginning, they each have as their profile picture the two of them together, and then over time it becomes just a picture of them again. And then after that, you notice that comments and pictures of their significant other tends to disappear from their timeline. And then what happens is their relationship status gets hidden because obviously they don't want people going, gee, what happened? Where did... And then next thing you know, a few months later, it says single. It's hilarious. 12 years. Oh, so it's been 12 years. So 12 years, and we finally had our chance, and we took it, and poof, gone. That's what happens when you over-pursue, dude. I know there are many areas you can touch upon in this, and I truly welcome the insight, because at the moment, I'm just not sure how to handle all of this. Well, the only thing you can do at this point is to walk away and never look back, and chalk it up to experience and say, gee, I was really stupid. What a sucker I was. It's like you just didn't act masculine. The guy should never be doing more than 20 to 30% of the calling, texting, and pursuing. In this particular case, she was obviously calling and reaching out to you, wanting to know what you were up to. And eventually, what happened was eventually when you thought, hey, maybe something can happen between us, the power flipped. And it went from her doing all the chasing and pursuing and the relationship therefore being her idea to you pursuing and trying to lock her down and trying to cage her, if you will. Instead of just hanging out, having fun, and hooking up and enjoying your time together by living in the moment. And once she got to the place where she was head over heels in love with you, letting her bring up the relationship and being exclusive. I mean, when you watch movies from 30, 40, 50 years ago, that's what's always happening in the movies. One of the real great movies to watch, it's always, because we're heading into the holidays here in the next few months, it's called It's a Wonderful Life. It's black and white. It was Donna Reed and Jimmy Stewart. It was made in, like, I think the early 40s. And it's like, that's what you see. You see Donna Reed's character is a pretty young girl, always had this crush on Jimmy Stewart's character from the time they were little kids. They live in this small town. And of course, you know, she graduates high school, and obviously she's all grown up, and he's like, wow, you look pretty good. Then his father has a heart attack that night, and so things kind of get interrupted. And then 4 years later, she graduates, comes home from college, and he's planning on getting the hell out of the small town. He wants to go see the world. He wants to live in a big city. He's been saving his money, and she's got these nice, tight-fitting clothes on. She's got her makeup all done. She's got her best perfume on. She even painted a picture, George Lasso's The Moon, and all this kind of stuff. And so he comes, you know, she lets it be known throughout the women in the neighborhood that she's in town, and she sure would like to get together with George Bailey, who's Jimmy Stewart's character. And of course, Jimmy Stewart's mother and their housekeeper say, you should go over and visit her. You should go over and visit that Mary, because she lights up like a firefly whenever you're around. Well, are you going to go over there? Well, I don't know. Maybe I will. So he kind of wanders over there, and she's got this white picket fence. And she's up in the second floor kind of looking out, and he's got this stick, and he's kind of whacking the picket fence, you know, back and forth, just kind of dithering, hasn't gone up to the front door to knock. And so she kind of leans out the window, and she goes, well, are you going to come up or not? And he goes, well, I was thinking about it, and says, okay, well, maybe I will. And so he opens the gate, and he walks in, knocks on the door, she comes down, and so they talk, and she's got this whole, like, web. You know, she's got a record on of the same song that they were dancing to the last time they saw each other. Because she's trying to rekindle that same magical moment they had before they got interrupted when his father had the heart attack 4 or 5 years earlier. She got this picture that she painted of him lassoing the moon, and he's just basically, he sees this, and he's like, I'm going to get the hell out of this city. I don't want anything to do with this, and you know, I'm going to shake the dust off my shoes, this crappy little town. And she starts to get tears in her eyes because, you know, she's obviously been planning this for a while. And he just looks at her, and he feels awful, and he just grabs her and starts kissing her and making out. Next thing you know, they get married. But at the end of the day, it was all her idea. She was putting herself into his orbit in hopes that he would feel something for her and make something happen, which he did. And that's the kind of theme that you see in the older movies, is men actually acted like fucking men. And women acted like women naturally act. Instead of this bullshit feminized nonsense where the men on TV these days act like women and the women act like men. It's just absolutely fucking absurd. And kids watch this and they grow up and they think, oh, this is the way it's supposed to be. And obviously you've been following my videos for a while. You see this stuff and you see all the crazy mistakes people get. And if you grow up in a dysfunctional family like I did, where mom and dad don't have a healthy relationship, and nobody in the family has a healthy relationship, and you watch TV, and it's like, where are you going to learn this stuff from? I mean, think about it. So if you'd like to get my help personally with a challenge or a situation that you're having, the quickest way is to book a paid phone coaching session. And you can do that by going to my website, clicking the products tab at the top of your screen, either booking phone or Skype coaching or doing the email coaching options. Totally up to you. How do you want to get in contact with me? And I will talk to you soon.